Monday Night Raw Netflix. I will give it to you. They showed out with it. They showed out with it. Now, I was like, if you want to have right that it feels like an extreme thing of Raw, then I think you're bugging. I was like, if you over here just like, oh my God, there's too many people talking and stuff like that. I was like, they're presenting something new to a whole new set of people, demographic, audience, board members, all this people that they gotta have business contracts, all that stuff that we don't ever get. We don't get to seek up. We're not that 1%. That's basically what that was. But I think they did like it was like I don't think there was really any flaws here. I think even I'll get to maybe a bad part was actually a good part at the same time. Um, I was like they had all the stars out. Of course, they had like some WWE people sent ring shot side and stuff, but they had O'Shea Jackson. I was like big wrestling guy. Vanessa Hutchins. I was like I like that jacket. I'm not going to lie or whatever. I was like I thought it was really cool how Macaulay Culkin played to the audience where he was just kind of like this and then he just revealed himself. Thought that was dope. But yeah, there were a couple other people there. Had the whole thing with the whole how it all started as wrestling. I get it because I was like, look, some of that stuff. Oh, all right, okay, I remember the Carney show and stuff like that. So I've heard some of it, but he did all basically a little lineage piece in order to be like, and now the time's here and the time's right now. Then the Rock showed up, and we did not get final boss Rock. We got boss Boardman Rock. That's what we got. I will say that how he sort of I was like he was doing his regular spiel or whatever like that. He didn't go full on Rock where he would just like Netflix like he didn't do that. But I was like I did like the fact that I was like okay, we're just keeping it regular. He's over here just talking or whatever because like I was like Triple H kept his short. We didn't know how the Rock was going. But I was like, but he was able to actually keep it going. I mean, like have like a real it was like short and to the point. It didn't drag out or nothing like that either. But it was interesting of him basically talking to Cody and being like, "Hey, Cody, you held this year down with the championship. Good job, buddy, being the face of WWE." And to my cousin Roman, hey, I'm gonna be watching out tonight. But he said it. He kept saying acknowledge like at least like 3 or 4 times in a short burst. That I was like, okay, are we gonna get something here? But for the most part, he seemed just like regular cool Rock or whatever. Rock was drunk off that tequila that he owns by the end of the night that we sort of seen. But that led into basically tribal combat with Solo and with Roman Reigns. And at first it was just a lot, basically like test of strength kind of thing. Solo was being his ass or whatever. This is only what this is where you could tell like it was a difference between like a pay per view versus like a regular match on Raw. Cause it was somewhere in the middle. Like it wasn't too over that you would like that how you would do in the tribal combat. It wasn't too over like that, but it did have enough shenanigans. I was like pretty much as he getting thrown to a table. Tama Tonga get the referee. Spike's the referee. Jacob comes out. I was like, but then Jimmy and Sammy comes out. They over here fighting them off and stuff like that. So now back to Roman and Solo. And my prediction didn't turn out right, but he did have an interference. It was Kevin Owens, who I didn't even really consider Kevin Owens to do this just because he hasn't done anything to or with the bloodline in so long that it was kind of like, okay, his main priority right now is KO. And I was like, Drew primary thing is the bloodline. Nope. KO came out, tried to give him a stunner. I was like Solo pins him, but he kicks out of it. Cody comes in to save the day. That's the end of KO with that. And Roman basically beats Solo and gets the Ulafala that's presented from Paul Heyman to The Rock to Roman. And that was it. Rock just sort of sat in the corner. Oh, that was that, yeah. And I don't know what that means. That he's like, hey, I have my WrestleMania stuff. It's good. We don't know if we're gonna come back to it later on. But after that, then I was like, and I like the format that they sort of did. They sort of did promos, match, and then by the end of the night, I was like, that's when it was over here. I swear, I was like, so going back to 3 hours, You realize the difference. You realize the difference. I would say that this ran smoother than I was like. It felt like there. It felt like even though I was like it was something different. It did feel like the old Raw. I was like from a couple months ago, where it's like the 3 hour did sort of fly by. It wasn't as bad, except for when you're actually still just kind of watching it. Um, I was like, look, I was like, John Cena comes out and he does his whole spiel where he's like, it's the farewell tour. This stuff isn't going to happen, even though his gimmick is never give up. But he came back around to basically say that he's not going to give up. He's going to try to earn his chance to fight for the main championship, and that started with the Royal Rumble. And he did his little goofy stick where he just kind of like, where he's like, oh no, you're wait, I, if the math is right, I can. Yeah, he did all that. But I was like, hey, it's John Cena. And plus, it's like when your grandpa just over here just starts rambling and talking, and you just sort of be like, oh man, he's gonna die soon. Anyway, get off that dark subject. We got Liv and Rhea, and I was like, really fun match. I was like, it was really fun. I was like, I didn't. I was like, I heard about the last woman standing, and then I didn't, and I was like, it was very weird. I was like, because I was like, I haven't seen anything that was confirmed, but then I was like, I think I did see it actually online, like actually in like actual people's stuff, but hey, whatever. Cause I thought it was gonna be weird to have a tribal combat and then a last woman standing match, like and like that. That's a lot where it's like, okay, that's pay per view where you need your people to not be tired. But no, I was like, it was a really good match. I was like, I feel like they basically played SummerSlam back a bit where they just had like the Dom interference. So, Raquel's there. I was like with the whole chair thing and her getting the oblivion on the chair and stuff. But it basically was Rhea just doing a riptide and a huge ass riptide on Liv to get the win. I'm still kind of I was like bummed at it, but it is what it is. Dom tried to come back into Rhea's life, and we all knew it was a farce. And she basically kicked him in the boots and gave him the riptide we've been waiting for basically a year now. So Rhea's your championship. I was like, okay, this is the one thing that I was just. Undertaker comes out as an American badass Undertaker, which I know gets a lot of gripe, but I like a badass Undertaker. Comes out, ride past Rhea, ride along the ring, rise up to Rhea. They do a couple fist bumps, fist in the air. That I don't. That was no necessary. That was 12 seconds of my life. I actually wish I did have back because there was nothing there. It'd be one thing if I guess she rolled it or something, or nothing happened. I was like, I wish it was like the old school WWE where you could just, get video game where you could just think it was Bring the Pain or something like that, where you just hit him and then take his motorcycles. I'd be down with that. That'd be cool. He just looked aghast while that happened. So the thing that I found funny or whatever was that I was like, oh, it was bad, but I was like, it was good. This whole Hogan comes out and get massive boos. Then starts talking. And instead of basically doing like the what chants, they did boo chants. They just boo yous the whole time. It was just like, let me tell you something, brother. Boo, boo, boo. He got booed in a way that turned from like everybody being like mad or whatever at him and not wanting them there to being like funny. Like that's going to turn into somebody's gif or something like that at some point. I was like, then we got like stuff from like Gunther basically being like he's the guy but he didn't show up. Well, speaking of that, because I was like, we also got one for Logan Paul or whatever. And if there was ever a way to know the difference of who's hated and who's hated, is Logan Paul and Hulk Hogan. Because as many people don't like Logan Paul, people hate Hulk Hogan. Like, there's a difference here. That like you could be like, oh, Logan Paul's an asshole, or you could be like he's scummy or whatever in real life or whatnot. And I was like, I do think I was like, yeah, there's some things that not to like about Logan Paul, but I also think that I was like, if you are a person that's probably around Logan Paul, you don't necessarily be, you probably like, probably like he one of those people that's like, if you know his outside stuff, you're like, oh, he's horrible. But if you don't know his outside stuff, you would think he's fine. Whereas, like, you might not get that with Hulk Hogan. Well, Hulk Hogan's like, oh, okay, no, that dude is just, no. It's like no, that's who he is. That's who he is in all type of ways. But I did like that they were showing the matches for next week, and I was like, are we back to the moving scene to where it's like they call like like back in the day where they used to have I was like I don't know what it's actually called, but where they used to present the match and they used to just do their thing where it would just come up, and then all of a sudden at the screen it just kind of like. And it is like free. I was like, oh, we're back to that. I was like, Netflix got that money, cause I'm totally here. It was great. I didn't mind the ring mat. I was like, to be honest, I didn't notice it. I noticed that it was black, but I didn't notice the mat itself with the stuff on it or whatever. I was like, I like the uniforms of the refs. I was like, those are really good. I liked Alicia Taylor's hair. I was like, how did she put it up like that? That's crazy. I like Roman Reigns Nikes. I was like, shoot, I was like, I'm waiting for his clothing line to come out. Like that'd be actually like a good get or whatever. But we got Jay Uso versus Drew McIntyre, and by God, they was yeeting all up in the place with Travis Scott, who was out here smoking a doobie. Had a Jay, and I ain't talking about the Uso beside him. Yeah, whole time I was like, okay, we over here. They let them cuss a bit. They let them say like bullshit or whatever. The crowd said fuck, but they wouldn't allow the rest. I was like Rock said it, and I was like they didn't allow him to say it. Um, but yeah, Jay and Drew McIntyre. I thought it was a pretty good. I was like pretty good match of how the setup was. That is like they it seemed like because of all the other ones they didn't really they did like a little bit like it went a pretty good distance, but you could tell like they're just a breather match until we get to the main event. um yeah, and I was like basically it was a spear and a claymore, and he finally got him. And I agree with the win. I was like I think Drew should get the win on all these and stuff like that. Plus I think it's also funny that in the top 10 wins of the year Jay is there, even though we keep thinking Jay lose all the time. And it's like, but he was right. He was like 7, I think, of like the most wins out of 2024. And I was like, oh, that's actually pretty surprising. And that list, we also know how. I mean, that list probably credible. There are people online doing this check type stuff. And then we got CM Punk and Seth Rollins. Oh, my bad. I was over here staring off like The Rock earlier. We don't. I thought he was. I thought he. That's when I thought when he was doing his acknowledgement. I mean, acknowledging and stuff like that. That he was actually staring at somebody. I was like, "Is The Rock? Is Roman up there? Like, what? Is the WrestleMania sign up there? I don't understand." But anyway, Seth, CM Punk. I was wondering how this was going to deliver, considering that it was just it's the first of matches, but so it's like you got to have a regular stipulation. And I think they sold it. I think that they now, granted, from here you have to do it to me stipulation matches because of the way that they did this like a pay per view where it's like they were doing like Seth Rollins did to go to sleep to CM Punk. He rolled out the ring and then he did a pedigree to him on the table. I was like try to do another pedigree. I was like CM Punk did a curb stomp to Seth Rollins. I think Seth Rollins got him with another GTS as well. I was like, I'm trying to think. Did he? I think it was. I felt like it was 3. Like it was the one where he rolled out, and I felt like he did 2 in a row, or whatever. I was like, see, I told you that 3 hours. But either way, I was like, CM Punk kicked out, and then he was able to do it. I was like, he was up on the turnbuckle. Rollins come up there in order to do a Falcon's Arrow, but he turned that into a GTS, got him. Seth Rollins went back, fell on him again, so he could do another GTS, and it's night. It's over. CM Punk gets the win. I told you that CM Punk was going to get the win because I was like, it was Netflix. They're not going to have him lose. But I did think that necessarily for the story, it could have been Seth Rollins because now it gives CM Punk something to change. But now you get a more deranged and unhinged Seth Rollins now just because it's like CM Punk won. CM Punk is allowed to move on to whatever he want to. John Cena, like Cena said, Gunther, whatever. While Seth Rollins is now going to be like Drew McIntyre, where he just can't stop. He's obsessed now. We did not get any type of return. No Becky, no Charlotte. In that mode, those are the only ones I really know that people were talking about returning. I thought we might get a Penta here, but it's like we might get Penta next week versus Chad Gable, and I'm here and down for that. I was like, I hope they actually like push him close enough to the main event. If it stays with Gunther, main event scene. But I will say that will be hard to do with this going to wrestling. I don't think so. Never mind. Put his ass in the chamber. Whatever. Put him in the chamber or whatever, and that's where you can have him do his main event while he kind of like is just barely not there. I don't know. I was like, I'll be over here talking about some stupid stuff. But anyway, I was like, New Day getting booed. I was like, but that is heat or whatever compared to Hulk Hogan. That's like, boo, we hope you die, the kind of thing, and that's a little different. Anyway, that was Raw. Recap, review, run through, whatever you want to, R word you want to throw in there. No, maybe not. Y'all could get crazy. But anyway, 3 hours. I was like, yeah. Get there be more to talk about after all this. Man, The Rock really said bye-bye, everybody. Anyway, until then, peace. I'm out.